Hello and welcome to yet another video. This is the fourth episode of the story, in which Naruto sets out to discover his true reason for being Hokage. Look out, Ninja World! A new Naruto Uzumaki has arrived. Please like and subscribe to show your support. Let's get the show started. Naruto sat atop the fourth Hokage's head with a content smile. He wore his Chunin vest on top of his long-sleeve black shirt, signifying that he was now a Chunin-leveled shinobi. He could see many people, villagers, and shinobi alike, helping in the reconstruction of Konoha. It had been a few days since the invasion and things were already returning back to normal. Naruto had had his share of duties on helping reconstruct the village as soon as he got out of the hospital. Genins helped with small stuff, giving them a lot of free time. Naruto as a Chunin, Naruto was expected to help the most he could. It was no wonder that Shikamaru hated being made a Chunin along with Naruto. The blonde hadn't seen much of Ino in the last few days due to his busy agenda. It wasn't until today that Naruto got taken off reconstruction duty, as the third called it, and the blonde was looking forward to a few days off. He found himself happy at being able to spend time with Ino again since she had become an important person in his life. Thinking about Ino, Naruto couldn't help but sigh. On his last visit to the Hokage's office, he had run into Jiraiya. The sage had told him of an upcoming trip the two would be taking. They were to search for the legendary medic Tsunade for an undetermined amount of time. Naruto had been exited at first, but Jiraiya told him that he would train him on using the fox's chakra. The blonde hesitated but finally agreed after Jiraiya pestered him for about a day. He was afraid of using the chakra and paled when Jiraiya suggested telling his friends about the fox. The reason being that if he were to use that power in front of his friends, then they would be wary of him subconsciously since they wouldn't know where the unknown power came from. It was best to tell them beforehand. Jiraiya had told him that telling his closest friend about it would make it a lot easier to tell his other friends. The sage told him to do it when he was ready, but telling them sooner would keep them from fearing him. That had been 3 days ago, and Naruto hadn't had the courage nor time to tell Ino about his burden. He knew that Jiraiya was right, which is why he was currently on top of the Hokage monument, admiring the view of the village. It gave him a sense of peace that he would need since he planned on telling Ino about the fox that same night. Naruto stood up and gazed at the village. "I have to tell her," the blonde muttered to himself with a sigh. The third sighed as he looked over the large amount of paperwork on his desk. Orochimaru was truly evil. Having an attack on the village had increased his paperwork immensely, an evil plan indeed. Papers with many different kind of permits filled his desk. This was probably the worst part of being the Hokage. He knew that Naruto would give up on his dream if he learned about the evils of paperwork. "You look like hell, old man," Jiraiya said from his sitting position on the window's railing. "Jiraiya," the third said with a nod, "what brings you here?" "I just wanted to know how the meeting with the elders went," the toad sage said with a grin. Sarutobi sighed. "They were quite concerned with what you're planning to do. Their fear for the fox is too strong and they disapproved of you teaching Naruto how to use it," he explained. "We discussed it for hours until they finally agreed with me. They didn't want to listen to me until I told them that if Naruto was trained in the use of the fox's chakra, that would mean that Tsunade would be needed back in the village. The desire to have Tsunade back on the village made them accept my proposal." Jiraiya scoffed. "As if they could have done anything against your orders," he sighed and shook his head. "I take it you made it official then." The third nodded and tossed a scroll to Jiraiya. "That contains the mission of searching for Tsunade," he explained. "It is an A-rank mission due to the time it could take." "This will go on Naruto's record too, right?" Jiraiya asked with a raised brow. The third chuckled and nodded his head. He was content with the care his students showed for Naruto. "All right then, when do we leave?" "You are to leave by tomorrow." Sarutobi said, "Take care of Naruto. It's dangerous to let him out of the village if what you said was true." "Don't worry, old man," Jiraiya said in a serious tone. "I'm more than capable of handling a few rogue ninja. Besides, I always have Sage Mode at my disposal." Sarutobi nodded. "You're right. Now about your other idea," he said. "When do you plan on taking Naruto on that training trip?" Jiraiya crossed his arms. I'm not sure, he admitted. I have to meet with some contacts in a few weeks, so I assume that I'll take him after I come back. That should be in around a month. Sarutobi nodded. Very well, he took out a paper and started to write. I'll start the paperwork for your training trip, but because of the situation we're in, Naruto will be receiving missions on a constant basis. That's okay, Jiraiya said with a grin. It will give him the experience he will need if he is to be able to protect himself against that group. Just make sure that the missions don't interfere with his training. I know, the third said with a nod. I plan on sending missions with his training in mind. Good, Jiraiya said. Now if you'll excuse me, I have some research to do. With that, the Toad Sage jumped out the window. Sarutobi sighed. He'll never change. He couldn't help but chuckle at his student as he took out an all-too-familiar orange book. That's a good thing. Ino sighed as she stood behind the counter of the Yamanaka flower shop. She had been stuck in the shop while her dad helped out on the village and her mom met with other flower shops to discuss whatever flower shop owners discuss. Training had been scarce due to the time she spent on the shop. She was glad that things were getting better in the village, since that meant that she could get back to training and maybe she would get to spend more time with Naruto. Ino couldn't help but frown. The idiot hadn't even visited her in the past few days. As soon as he got out of the hospital, he just disappeared. Naruto would get it when she saw him again. She had told her parents that Naruto would have dinner with them whenever he could, and the blonde idiot just went and disappeared. Ino, a voice said. She would make the idiot pay for just ignoring her and her family like that. She thought of ways to make him pay for his behavior. Hitting him? No, it was a little extreme, and he was already hit enough by Sakura. Ino, the voice repeated a little louder. Ino smiled when she got the perfect plan. It would be the best way to punish Naruto without looking like an abusive person. She would find ways to deny Naruto his ramen. It was brilliant. She patted herself on the back for a good idea. Ino, the voice exclaimed. Ino broke out of her thoughts and saw Naruto's face a few inches from her own. She yelped and moved away from the blonde with a bright blush on her face. What are you doing? She asked with a panicked expression. You're finally out of your daze, Naruto said with a smile. I've been trying to get your attention for a while now. Ino crossed her arms and turned away from Naruto. So, now you decide to make some time for me, she huffed and frowned. You just disappeared for a long time and come back like nothing happened. Naruto scratched the back of his head. I'm sorry, Ino, but I've been busy with the reconstruction of the village, he explained with a nervous smile. I'm sorry that I wasn't able to see you. It's okay, Ino said with a pout. Naruto smiled. Don't worry, Ino, I'll make it up to you. He declared as he pointed at himself. You have my word that I'll do anything you ask. Ino couldn't help but smile. It was hard to stay mad at Naruto. Fine, I forgive you. She then broke into an exited smile and took hold of Naruto's right hand. Guess what? What? Naruto asked with a blush on his face. Ino's hands were soft against his own. My parents said that you could have dinner with us any time, she declared, which means that you'll have to eat with us tonight. Tonight? Naruto asked with a worried look. Ino nodded with a happy smile, making the blonde feel guilty of thinking of turning her down. All right, I'll be here. Ino gave Naruto a hug. Don't worry, Naruto, it'll go well. She broke the hug and gave Naruto a smile. Be here at 8 sharp. I don't want you making a bad impression on my parents. Okay, Naruto said with a nod. Can I ask you a favor? Sure, Ino said happily. She was glad that Naruto would meet her parents. He would actually be the first person to have dinner with them. If you don't mind, he started with a nervous voice. Do you think we could go walk around town after the dinner is over? I have something important to tell you. Ino's heartbeat rose, and she felt a blush creep into her cheeks. It couldn't be that. Could it? She asked herself with a deepening blush. Sure, Naruto. I don't mind. Great, Naruto said with a small grin. I'll see you later. Ino watched the blonde run out of the store with the blush never leaving her face. Is he planning on asking me out? The thought of Naruto as a boyfriend was a little weird, but she felt that it wouldn't be too bad. He was a happy person who cared for her and would make her feel important. Thinking about a relationship with Naruto brought back the things she felt for him. It wasn't until that moment that she realized that maybe she really wanted to be more than a friend to Naruto. I think I'm falling for Naruto, she admitted to herself. Are you, now? Asked Inoichi from behind his daughter. Ino turned around with a petrified look on her face. D-Daddy? Ino stammered with an embarrassed blush on her face. Naruto walked through the streets with a nervous look on his face. It was almost 8 and he was making his way to Ino's house. He was completely nervous at the fact that he was about to eat with Ino's parents. Though he talked to Ino's mom from time to time, he still preferred to keep his distance from her. He still didn't feel right around civilian adults. Having to tell Ino about the fox didn't make things any easier. He was afraid of Ino ending their friendship because of the fox, but at the same time, he knew that he had to tell her. He arrived at Ino's home and knocked on the front door. A few seconds later, Ino opened the door with a smile on her face. You made it, Ino said with a happy smile. Come in, my parents are in the living room. Okay, Naruto said as he was led into the house by Ino. She led him to the living room where Ino's mom and dad sat on one of the 3 couches that adorned the room, deep in conversation. Mom, Dad, Ino interrupted their conversation. The 2 adults turned around and had different reactions. Miki smiled at Naruto while Inoichi glared at him. He's here, Ino said lamely, feeling the tension in the room. Inoichi nodded. At least he's on time, he muttered with his eyes narrowed at Naruto. The blonde felt a lump on his throat and gulped nervously. Miki elbowed her husband on the ribs, making him groan in pain. Calm down, she whispered harshly before turning to Naruto with a gentle smile. It's nice to have you here. Gee, good to be here, Naruto said with his gaze lowered slightly. There was an awkward silence and Ino mentally groaned. It's going to be a long night, she thought with a frown. Kakashi stood in front of the memorial stone with a stoic look on his face. He had just come back from another mission and decided to visit his old comrades. It had been busy for Kakashi since the village had been taking all kinds of missions in order to prevent other villages from thinking that their defenses were down. Long day, huh? But that's what comes from being a shinobi, Jiraiya said from behind Kakashi. Kakashi turned to the sage with an eye smile. It's not so bad, he said. What brings you here, Lord Jiraiya? I came here to talk about a certain student of yours, Jiraiya said with his arms crossed. I take it you're talking about Naruto? Kakashi asked with a chuckle. What do you want to talk about? I'll be taking over his teachings from now on, Jiraiya said in a serious tone. What? Kakashi asked in confusion. I know he's a Chunin now, but that doesn't mean that he is out of Team 7. I know that, Jiraiya stated. I will be taking Naruto on a training trip in only 1 month. Kakashi frowned, not liking the idea. I've only started training Naruto, he argued. In order to make my team stronger, I'll need him to be here. That's not the point, the Toad Sage said with a frown. There's a group looking for people like Naruto. Kakashi's eyes widened. A group searching for Jinchuriki hadn't been heard of before. They consist of several S-class ninja. In order for Naruto to be ready, I'll have to teach him everything I know. I didn't come here to ask, I came here to tell you that Naruto is going with me. I understand, Kakashi said with a sigh. When do you think they'll start looking for Naruto? Jiraiya sighed. I don't know, he admitted. Information on them is pretty scarce. From what I know about seals, I assume that in order to contain the QB, a large amount of chakra is needed. Meaning that Naruto will be the last one they'll attempt to capture. What group is this? Kakashi asked with a narrowed eye. Akutsuki, Jiraiya said with a frown. Naruto and Ino sat next to each other on top of the Hokage monument. Naruto figured that telling Ino here would be easier since this place brought him peace. The blonde was really nervous about telling Ino. Her reaction would tell him how everyone else would think of him. He turned his gaze at Ino and gulped. Ino was nervous for other reasons. She thought that Naruto would ask her to be his girlfriend, and she didn't know what to think. Having Naruto as a boyfriend would be great, but it was way too soon for her. She wasn't prepared emotionally for what Naruto was going to ask her and didn't know how she was going to react. Naruto muttered, getting the attention of the blonde. Funny dinner, huh? The blonde scolded himself for being an idiot. Yeah, Ino said with a small smile, remembering their dinner. Naruto hadn't talked much, but she assumed it was because her dad kept glaring at him. I have to do this, Naruto told himself with a determined expression. Ino, I have something important to tell you, he declared with his gaze fixed on Ino's eyes. Ino blushed. Sure, Naruto, she said with a nervous expression. What I have to tell you is not going to be pretty, Naruto said in a serious tone. Ino looked confused. If he wasn't going to ask her out, then what was he going to do? It's really hard for me to tell you this, but I feel like I have to tell you. What is it? Ino asked. Naruto turned his gaze to the village. Ino saw a sad look on Naruto's eyes and wondered what he was going to tell her. Did you ever wonder why I didn't have any friends when I was a kid? Or why people look at me differently? Ino found herself nodding. She really didn't know. Whenever she and Naruto walked through the village, people would often give him looks of fear mixed with anger. She had thought that Naruto was oblivious to the looks, but now knew otherwise. Do you remember what Shikamaru said about Gaara when I was about to fight him alone? Naruto asked her as he met her eyes. Ino nodded, remembering that Shikamaru had told her that Gaara had a demon inside of him. People like Gaara. They're called Jinchuriki. Naruto's gaze turned back to the village and Ino saw a look of pain on his eyes. Gaara was treated pretty harshly when growing up. Nobody wanted to be near him and they tried to ignore him. What does that have to do with what you're telling me? Ino asked in slight worry, putting two and two together. When the village was attacked by the Kyuubi, the fourth wasn't able to beat it, like we were told in class, Naruto said in a hurt tone. The fourth realized that in order to stop the Kyuubi he had to seal it into someone. Ino's eyes widened and she looked at Naruto in worry. He sealed it into a baby that had nothing to do with the fox. A tear ran down Naruto's cheek. Naruto, Ino said in a sad tone. She already knew what he was about to say, but had to make sure. Who was it sealed into? Naruto wiped the tear away and gazed at the sky. It was sealed into me, he said with a frown. I never really knew why the fourth chose me. I guess it was just my luck, but I don't blame him for it. I know that he was looking out for the whole village, and sealing the fox into me was the only way to save everyone. Naruto's eyes widened when he felt Ino wrap her arms around him. It's okay, Naruto, Ino said with tears threatening to fall. What? Naruto asked in disbelief. He hadn't been expecting her to accept him so easily. It's okay, Naruto, she repeated a little louder. She rested her head against Naruto's neck and hugged him a little harder. I never really thought that you had to carry such a burden for all of us. Naruto, you always looked so happy, why didn't you tell anyone about it? Naruto returned the hug and closed his eyes. I was always scared of my friends looking at me the same way the villagers do, he admitted with a few tears welling up on his eyes. I thought that if I looked happy then my friends wouldn't see that I was in pain. You don't have to be strong anymore, Naruto, Ino said with tears running down her cheeks. You don't have to be strong around me. Just let it all out. I'll always be there for you. Tears ran down Naruto's face as he tightened his grip on Ino. Thank you, Naruto said before breaking down, holding onto Ino as if she were his lifeline. It'll be all right, Naruto, Ino whispered as tears ran down her cheeks. She hadn't known that Naruto was in such pain. It made her feel bad that she hadn't done anything for her friend. The blonde had saved the village from destruction and had been rewarded with nothing but pain. She would be there for him from now on, and she'd be damned if anyone ever hurt Naruto again. Naruto smiled as he made his way to Konoha's gate. It was morning and the sun was creeping in the horizon. It was time for Naruto and Jiraiya to leave in search of Tsunade, and he would be doing so in high spirits. The blonde saw the gate in the distance and his eyes widened when he saw Ino standing there. Ino? Naruto muttered in a confused tone. The blonde made his way to the kunoichi and smiled. What are you doing here? Ino put her hands on her hips and smiled. You didn't think I would let you leave without seeing you off, did you? Naruto laughed nervously and scratched the back of his head in response. Ino sighed. Seriously, Naruto, sometimes you're just too clueless. I couldn't agree more, came Jiraiya's voice. The two blondes turned to see Jiraiya approaching them with a grin. Naruto pouted. At least I'm not a pervert like you, Jiraiya-sensei, he argued. How dare you? Jiraiya asked with an offended look. I'm not a pervert. I am a super pervert. Let's just go already, Naruto said with a sigh before turning to Ino with a smile. I'll see you soon, Ino. Ino nodded with a smile. Just remember that you will take me out wherever I want when you come back, she said with a smirk. Or did you forget that you promised to do anything I asked? Of course not, Naruto said with a pout before breaking into a grin. I'll be back soon. This is good. This is good, Jiraiya muttered as he wrote furiously on his notebook. What are you doing? Naruto exclaimed with a frown. Let's just go already. The blonde walked out of the village with Jiraiya still writing on his notebook. Ino watched the pair leave with a smile. She and Naruto had grown a lot closer thanks to him telling her about his burden. She now knew what her answer would be if Naruto ever asked her out. Ino giggled before leaving the scene in order to go help out at the shop. Orochimaru walked alongside his follower, Kabuto, towards a certain town. He had received information on the whereabouts of Tsunade. If he could find her and convince her to heal Kimimaro, then he could fill the spot Sakan and Yukon left vacant on the Sound 4. He could also use Kimimaro as his new host body when the time came. Kabuto, Orochimaru said with a smirk, when we find Tsunade, I want you to take care of her assistant. I will have it done, Lord Orochimaru, Kabuto said with a smirk of his own. Tsunade won't escape me, Orochimaru said with a sinister smirk. Naruto and Jiraiya walked down a road that led to the town where, according to Jiraiya, Tsunade would pay constant visits to a casino. Jiraiya had told him that their search would begin there and promised to teach him a new jutsu, which he hadn't yet. When are you going to teach me that new jutsu? Naruto asked with a frown. Jiraiya sighed. If I teach you what to do, will you stop bothering me? Of course. Naruto exclaimed happily. Fine, Jiraiya said as he walked to the nearest tree. He held up his right hand. Watch my hand closely. Chakra gathered around Jiraiya's hand and took the form of a blue sphere of nothing but compressed chakra. Rasengan! Jiraiya exclaimed as he struck the tree with the attack. The sphere drilled into the tree before exploding, leaving a large hole on the tree. Wow! That's amazing! Naruto exclaimed in excitement. The tree snapped in half and fell on the ground, kicking up a small cloud of dust. Jiraiya smirked. In order to learn this you have to complete 3 steps, he explained. The sage reached into his bag and took out a balloon. Using a few hand signs, the toad sage filled the balloon with water before putting it on his hand, and the first step you have to pop this balloon with your chakra only. When you finish this step I'll teach you the next. You got it, Jiraiya-sensei. Naruto said with a smile. The toad sage gave him a balloon already filled with water and the blonde got to work. Jiraiya grinned as he saw his student attempt to pop the balloon. The two began to walk again with Naruto working on the balloon as he walked. The sage hoped that this trip wouldn't take that long. Tsunade was hard to find, but if he really wanted to find her then he would do so in a few days. He wished that the trip would be uneventful, but knowing his luck that wouldn't happen. It had been 3 days since Naruto had gone with Jiraiya and things were looking great for the blonde. He was already trying to do the second step of the Rasengan training, which consisted of making a rubber ball explode with chakra. The first step had been finished in only 2 days since Naruto already knew how to mold and shape chakra from all his training with wind manipulation. Jiraiya had been impressed and showed him the second step a few hours later. Naruto was bored of walking down the same long road and wondered why they didn't just run all the way there. He knew that Jiraiya was capable of doing it, but wondered why he chose not to. He guessed that the sage wanted to give him more time to train on the Rasengan, but he knew that it wouldn't be the only reason for taking their time getting there. The blonde sighed. He was bored out of his mind. He was still trying to do the second step of the training, but seeing the same scenery for days irritated him. When will we get there, Jiraiya-sensei? Naruto asked with a whine. He put the rubber ball away and crossed his arms. We've been on the same road for days, shouldn't we be there by now? Jiraiya sighed. Seriously, kid, can't you shut up for a few minutes? The sage rubbed his head and closed his eyes. You've been pestering me on the same thing for hours, and I keep telling you that we'll get there. When we get there, Naruto interrupted with a pout. That's getting annoying, sensei. Just quiet down already, Jiraiya said with a groan. We're almost there, all right? Naruto smiled. Why didn't you say so in the first place? The blonde cheered and chuckled. If we get to the village, then that means that I won't have to eat your cooking anymore. What's wrong with my cooking? Jiraiya asked with a smile. I can't be that bad. Getting only a blank stare as a reply, Jiraiya's face faltered. You don't have to be so blunt about it, kid. Naruto rolled his eyes and focused back on the rubber ball. He hadn't made any progress on it and tried to think of what was wrong. Like with the water balloon, he had been spinning chakra in all directions, but nothing seemed to happen. Maybe if I add more chakra to spin, the ball will pop, the blonde thought. With a determined look in his eye, Naruto poured chakra into the ball. Now came the hard part, spinning the chakra. He had always had trouble with controlling large amounts of chakra. He assumed that every ninja had this problem and blamed it on his bad chakra control. The blonde spun the chakra in all directions and closed his eyes in concentration. The rubber ball began to shake lightly before shaking uncontrollably almost instantly. Jiraiya watched Naruto with an analyzing eye. The blonde was close to popping the rubber ball, but the last push was always the hardest. He was proud of his new apprentice. Naruto was proving to be quite capable. He'll get far, Jiraiya thought with a proud smile. Come on, Naruto focused on spinning the chakra and soon heard a small deflating sound. He opened his eyes and saw that he had made a small hole on the rubber ball. I'm still not getting it, he thought with a frown, but at least I made some progress. That was good, Naruto, Jiraiya said with a grin. The blonde grinned back and scratched the back of his head. Take a rest and continue your training later. I can still go, Naruto argued with a frown that soon turned into a smile when he saw a village in the distance. We're here. It was about time. Jiraiya nodded. I should get some information on Tsunade's whereabouts here, the toad sage said with his arms crossed. When we get there, I'll need to go see my contacts alone. Naruto nodded with a smile. Do whatever you want. When I get there, I plan on finding the nearest ramen stand. The blonde couldn't take it anymore and ran off towards the village. Jiraiya watched the blonde leave with a frown. Too bad he already left, he said with a sigh. His money reserves were low and he had seen how full Naruto's wallet looked. I might as well get going. Aren't you glad to be back home? Asked a man wearing a black cloak with red clouds. His face was covered by a straw hat and there was a wrapped sword strapped to his back. I have closed all ties with that place. Don't ask meaningless questions, Kisame, said another man wearing a similar attire to the first. Let's just execute our mission. It's a shame we can't capture the Ninetales yet, Kisame said with a grin visible on his face. I don't understand why we have to monitor its progress. It is always better to be prepared. Since we are unable to seal the Ninetales at the moment, we have made sure he doesn't surprise us when the time comes. The man raised his face to see Konoha only a few minutes awake. The Sharingan could be seen under the shadow of the straw hat and the man began to walk. Let's go, Kisame. Kisame followed after Itachi with a smirk on his face. He hoped to find a person he could fight. It had been far too long since he last fought someone of high level. Konoha was known for its strong ninjas and Kisame looked forward to fighting some of those ninja. Come on, Naruto! Jiraiya exclaimed as he threw a punch. The blonde ducked under the strike and countered with a kick. Jiraiya blocked the kick with his knee and delivered a punch to Naruto's face, making the blonde cry in pain. The blonde fell on the ground but rolled to the side when he saw Jiraiya's leg about to stomp him. Naruto stood back up and jumped in the air when he took note of Jiraiya's fist going towards him. Naruto flipped in the air and landed on the ground with a crouch before leaping towards the sage. The blonde threw a punch, but his eyes widened when Jiraiya simply leaned to his right to avoid the attack. He was helpless as he sailed through the air and received a hard blow to the ribs for his mistake. Naruto got the wind knocked out of him and plummeted to the ground. "I told you not to charge in like an idiot," Jiraiya scolded with a frown. It had been 3 days since they arrived at their destination and had been staying in a hotel. There was not much information on Tsunade, so Jiraiya met with a few of his contacts and had them see what they could find in neighboring villages. The two had been training on Naruto's taijutsu for the past 2 days, and because Jiraiya's contacts were gathering information on Tsunade, the sage didn't have anything to do. Since they were stuck in town until his contacts were back, Jiraiya had decided to help Naruto improve his taijutsu. Naruto's training consisted of spars with nothing but taijutsu. This had been going on for 2 days, and Naruto was learning fast. A shinobi must always keep a cool head when in battle, remember that. Naruto groaned as he got into a kneeling position. His ribs were in pain and he felt exhausted. The blonde managed to smile despite himself. This was one of the things Naruto actually liked about training with Jiraiya. The sage didn't go easy on him. "Got it, Jiraiya-sensei," he responded through pants. He tried to stand but winced at the pain on his ribs. Jiraiya grinned. He was impressed with Naruto's progress in taijutsu. "That was good, you're improving, kid," the sage said as he extended a hand to Naruto. The blonde looked at the hand oddly before breaking into a grin and taking it. Jiraiya helped him stand up and sighed. "Why do you always have to charge in like that? I keep telling you not to do that." Naruto chuckled. "Sorry, sensei, I won't do it again," he said with a grin. "Let's go one more time. I'm sure this time I won't mess up." "We're done for today, Naruto," Jiraiya said. "You look kind of tired," and took a hard blow on the ribs. The blonde frowned. "You just want to go out with random women again, don't you?" Naruto deadpanned. Receiving no response from the older ninja, the blonde sighed. "Fine, I'll go back to the hotel since I still have to finish the Rasengan." "That's the spirit, kid." Jiraiya cheered with a perverted smile. "Whatever," Naruto sighed out as he walked towards the village. He might have sounded down, but he was actually looking forward to his training. He was already working on the third and final step, and it proved to be the hardest. It consisted of spinning chakra inside an empty balloon without popping it. "Remember not to use clones," Jiraiya yelled from afar before disappearing in a swirl of leaves. Naruto frowned. It was completely unfair. He had actually made a Rasengan, not perfect, but still a Rasengan, with the aid of a clone. Jiraiya had been impressed, but told him to stop using the clone, his reason being he wanted Naruto's chakra control to improve and the Rasengan would do so. "Freaking pervert," Naruto muttered with a pout. Kakashi was unconscious on the bed of his apartment. The room was filled with the jonin that knew Kakashi closely. Guy sat on a chair inside of Kakashi's room. Asuma leaned against the wall with Kurenai by his side. All had seen Kakashi going down and decided to take care of him while he woke up. "How long will he be out?" Kurenai asked. She had arrived at the apartment after Kakashi had already been brought there since she had gone to report to the Hokage. Guy sighed. "We're not sure," he began. "The doctors say that he is exhausted and has suffered severe damage from Itachi's attack." "Why did they attack on broad daylight?" Kurenai asked in worry. "I can think of some reasons," Asuma said with a serious face. "They said that they came for Naruto for whatever purposes they have. If Itachi is with them, then that means that they are powerful. By attacking in broad daylight, they show that they are not afraid to be noticed. I say that they were trying to intimidate us." "That might be it," Guy agreed. "Itachi and that other guy probably wanted to intimidate us." "This is bad," Asuma thought with a frown. "Just how strong are these guys?" "They took down Kakashi with a Single attack. What the hell would someone like them want Naruto? The Jonin thought back on the fight, trying to find anything that revealed their true motives. Flashback: Asuma and Kurenai stood in front of Kakashi. They were winded and faced the two missing ninja wearing black cloaks. Kisame's straw hat was gone, revealing his shark-like face, while Itachi looked at the Jonin with a calm look, his Sharingan active and analyzing their every move. Those cloaks. Kakashi started. The two Jonin gave him a questioning look while Kisame broke into a grin. You're from the Akatsuki. Aren't you? You know about us? Kisame asked with a smirk, and here I thought we were pretty secret. Why are you in Konoha? Kakashi asked with a glare, already knowing what they wanted from what Jiraiya had told him. Kisame chuckled. Why are we here? The shark-like man smirked. We're here for the F- that is not of your concern, Itachi interrupted. If you're here for Naruto, then know that I will not allow you to take anyone from my team, Kakashi said with a glare. Itachi looked into Kakashi's eyes with a calm expression. Sharingan met Sharingan, but Itachi's began to change. Kakashi's eyes widened before he fell to his knees. Asuma and Kurenai ran to Kakashi's kneeling form and checked for any wounds. Asuma saw movement out of the corner of his eye and froze when he saw Kisame's blade inches away from Kurenai's head. Kurenai watched the blade inch closer to her second by second. She thought it was her end, but a green blur kicked Kisame away. The Akatsuki members sailed through the air before crashing on the ground. Before everyone stood the mighty beast of Konoha, Guy. Well, Kakashi, it seems that you've lost, Guy said with a light chuckle. Not to worry, my rival, I am here to help you. Damn you, Kisame growled as he stood up, I'll kill you for this. Kisame, Itachi said sternly, we will cause a lot of noise if we fight them here. Soon we'll have all of Konoha after us, it is best that we leave. Damn, Kisame said with a frown before turning to Guy with a smirk, I'll get you back for this. Remember this, Kisame will kill you. With that, the two Akatsuki members left in a swirl of leaves, leaving a panting Kakashi that barely held consciousness. You all right, Kakashi? Asuma asked in concern for his fellow ninja. Kakashi I smiled as he covered his Sharingan. I'll be all right, he said, just make sure to tell the Hokage that the red clouds appeared. Unable to handle the fatigue, the copy ninja fainted. End flashback. What did the Hokage say, Kurenai? Asuma asked. Kurenai frowned. When I told them that the red clouds appeared, he looked very worried. The Genjutsu mistress started. He dismissed me, but I heard him call for the ANBU. Isn't that a bit too much? Guy shook his head. When it comes to it, Asuma motioned Guy to keep quiet. Guy threw him a confused look before the door began to open. Sasuke entered the room with a frown on his face. Kakashi, I need you to. The genin stopped himself when he saw everyone on Kakashi's room and a bedridden Kakashi. Why are you here? What the hell happened? The jonins threw each other worried glances before a chunin wearing glasses entered the room. Is it true that Itachi returned to the village? And that he was after Naruto? Damn, Asuma muttered with a frown. Sasuke's eyes widened before he ran out of the room at full speed. What bad timing, Guy said with a frown. Sasuke ran through Konoha with a furious look on his face. Why did that bastard come here? Why is he after Naruto? I'll kill you. Itachi. Come on, Naruto muttered with his eyes closed in deep concentration. Beads of sweat rolled down his face and a balloon was held on his right hand. He felt the Rasengan close to completion. It would only take him a few more minutes. All that training with the wind manipulation was really paying off now. The balloon shook uncontrollably before calming down. Naruto's heartbeat rose. He almost had it. He began to shape the chakra into a ball and add more onto it. Bit by bit he would add chakra to it, and it was finally about to work. All those long hours of training had brought him to this point. He steadied the chakra and felt the Rasengan become more stable. He was about to finish it. Knock, knock. Naruto's head snapped towards the door and heard the distinct sound of a pop. His pupils dilated and he turned back to the balloon, where only parts of it remained. A cold breeze fell over Naruto and his face darkened. The blonde made his way to the door with a dangerously calmed expression on his face. The blonde reached for the handle and threw open the door. "What?" Naruto spat with venom on his voice. He glared at the two who had interrupted a Rasengan breakthrough. Kisame laughed. "We've got ourselves a feisty one," the Akatsuki members said with an amused smirk. Naruto's eyes widened when he looked at Itachi. He looked exactly like Sasuke and the Sharingan was active on his eyes. Who are you?" Naruto asked in slight fear. "Itachi." Sasuke's voice was heard from the hallway. Naruto turned to see Sasuke glaring at Itachi with hate on his eyes and Sharingan active. "He looks like you," Kisame said in amusement. "Do you know this kid?" Itachi nodded. "He's my younger brother," he said calmly, giving Sasuke a glance. "Have you gotten stronger? Have you had enough hate? I'll kill you." Sasuke screamed as he charged up a Chidori and charged recklessly at Itachi. The Akatsuki member didn't move from his spot as Sasuke approached him. The genin grinned inwardly. The fool would die today. Sasuke's eyes widened when Itachi appeared before him and held his left wrist, breaking the attack. "You're weak," he said in disgust before punching Sasuke on the stomach. The genin spat out blood and could do nothing as Itachi held him by the neck and slammed him on the wall. "You lack hatred," Itachi said as he leaned to Sasuke's ear. "You haven't gotten any stronger. You need more hatred to kill me." Sasuke gasped in fear when he saw the all-too-familiar Manjikyu Sharingan forming on Itachi's eyes. Naruto watched as his friend's body went limp. Sasuke began to trash around and scream in pain as if he were in a nightmare. Naruto had been weak again. His friend was suffering because he had been too weak. The blonde glared at the two Akatsuki members. They would pay for what they did to Sasuke. Multi-shadow clone jutsu. Countless copies of Naruto filled the hotel, causing the two Akatsuki members to be pushed back by the sheer numbers. "You won't escape, kid," Kisame exclaimed with a smirk. He used his sword to dispel all nearby clones while Itachi ran through hand signs. A large fireball filled the hallway and torched all the Naruto clones. Smoke filled the hotel, and when it cleared there was no sign of Naruto or Sasuke for that matter. "He managed to trick us," Itachi said with a frown. "We were fools to have underestimated a Jinchuriki." "Let's go after the bastard," Kisame said with a smirk as the two Akatsuki members left the scene. Naruto ran through the village next to one of his clones that had Sasuke on its back. He was looking for Jiraiya since he would be the only one that could help him. There was a chance that the villagers would get hurt by any crossfire, so he avoided running through streets, choosing to jump rooftops. He would be spotted easily, but he didn't want any unnecessary casualties. Naruto stopped mid-step when he saw a black cloak blocking his view. He received a backhand and crashed against the ceiling, feeling bits of rocks dig into his skin. He held his right arm in pain as he stood up slowly. His eyes widened when he saw both Akatsuki members standing where he had been only moments ago. The clone carrying Sasuke jumped to his side and looked at the two missing ninja in fear. "Come with us, Naruto," Itachi said in a calm voice. "You have our word that Sasuke won't be hurt if you come with us without making a scene." "A scene?" Naruto asked with a light smirk. "Like this one." The blonde ran through hand signs and put a hand to his mouth. A powerful gust came out of his mouth, knocking over antennas and roof tiles. The two Akatsuki members disappeared from view. Naruto took in all of his surroundings, looking for anything that told him where the two were. A light flash of black caught his attention and he jumped from where he was. Kisame's sword crashed against the spot where Naruto had only been seconds ago. "Not bad, kid," Kisame complimented with a smirk, "but you forgot someone." Naruto, still airborne, looked to his side to see a fireball approaching him. The blonde ran through hand signs and put a hand to his mouth. "Wind style, air bullets." The air bullets clashed against the fireball, creating a powerful explosion. The blonde was blown aside and landed on the hard floor of a street. Naruto felt his left arm completely numb and his back was throbbing in pain. Somehow the blonde managed to smirk and look at the Akatsuki members defiantly. Itachi and Kisame jumped down from the roofs and landed in front of Naruto. Kisame smirked at the look Naruto had on his face. The kid was just too entertaining. That defiant look on his face only added to the amusement. "Why, you idiots," Naruto muttered as he got on his hands and knees. The blonde panted at the sheer effort it took. He supported himself with his right leg and began to stand, slowly but surely. Naruto swayed slightly but managed to stand and give the two Akatsuki members a weary grin. "I got Sasuke to safety while you were focused on me. You'll never get him." "Who said we were after him?" Itachi said, making Naruto give him a confused look. "We were looking for you all this time." "Well, that's not right. We came for the nine tails sealed within you. Sasuke only got caught in the crossfire." What?" Naruto gasped in shock. Sasuke had gotten hurt because of him. He was to blame for the wound Sasuke had taken. "Let's go, Nine Tails," Kisame said with a smirk. The missing ninja charged at Naruto but was suddenly knocked away by a white blur. "Why does this keep happening?" Kisame thought as he crashed against the ground. He stood up shakily, soon after, and glared at the newly arrived men. "Jiraiya the Toad Sage," Itachi stated. Jiraiya frowned. "So you're the Akatsuki," he said. He gave a quick glance to Naruto to make sure he was okay. Pleased to see that it was only minor wounds, he turned back to the Akatsuki. "You're looking for Naruto, I take it." "What do we do?" Kisame asked Itachi with a frown. "This is the situation we were trying to avoid." "We'll have to pull back," Itachi responded. "It's not smart to take one of the legendary three. The risks are too great." "You won't be going anywhere," Jiraiya said as he ran those hand signs, Earth Style, Dark Swamp. The ground beneath the two Akatsuki's feet turned to mud and they began to sink. Kisame growled and flailed while Itachi calmly stood where he was. "Fire Style, Fireball Jutsu." An engulfing ball of fire came out of Jiraiya's mouth and crashed into the two Akatsuki members. Naruto looked at the attacks in awe. Jiraiya was truly powerful even if he acted like an idiot. The mud disappeared and the flames dispersed, revealing two burnt bodies. The blonde's eyes widened when he saw them. Where Itachi and Kisame had been were now two unknown ninja with Sand Village headbands. Jiraiya walked to the bodies to inspect them. "It appears that they used a kind of puppetry," Jiraiya observed. "From the looks of things, they were able to transfer their chakra into them and create less powerful copies of themselves. The real question here is, from how far could they control them?" "Master Jiraiya." Jiraiya turned away from the bodies to see a squad of ANBU standing in front of Naruto. "We were ordered to contact you by the third Hokage." Jiraiya nodded. "Tell the Hokage that the Red Clouds made a move, but Naruto is safe," the sage ordered. "The Uchiha got hurt, take him back to the village." One of the ANBU nodded and slung Sasuke over his shoulder. The squad nodded to Jiraiya once more before disappearing in blurs. Once they were gone, Jiraiya sighed. He hated giving orders. That's one of the reasons why he declined the position of Hokage by the third. "You okay, kid?" Jiraiya asked with a proud smile. Naruto smiled lightly and nodded. "We'll go to another hotel so you can rest. If you're healed by tomorrow, we'll keep moving. I got a lead on Tsunade." Naruto grinned. "That's great, I'll get healed in no time," he said without his usual cheerfulness. "Hey Jiraiya-sensei, I almost mastered the Rasengan today." "Really?" Jiraiya asked with a grin. "Yeah," Naruto responded with a smile. "If it hadn't been for those two, I would have gotten it." Jiraiya nodded, watching his disciple sway slightly. He was probably exhausted from his encounter with the Akatsuki and had been lucky to have both of them taken it easy on him. It was still surprising for the blonde to still be standing. Naruto's eyes rolled to the back of his head and he fell lifelessly to the ground. Jiraiya caught him before he fell and slung him over his shoulder. "I guess it was too much for you," Jiraiya said with a chuckle as he walked to the nearest hotel. Rumors spread through Konoha fast, saying how the traitor Itachi had come back to Konoha to kill Sasuke and Naruto. Some villagers were worried about Naruto while others remained indifferent. Ever since the attack on Konoha, Naruto had been viewed as a hero by a portion of the villagers. They were worried about how Naruto would fare against the traitor Uchiha who slaughtered his own clan. This news reached the sharp ears of Ino. She was making her way to the barbecue restaurant where her team would usually meet. She wanted to talk to her teammates about the danger Naruto was in. Ino entered the restaurant and saw Choji stuffing his face on a corner table, sitting next to an annoyed Shikamaru. "Hey guys, I've got something important to talk to you about," Ino said with a sense of urgency on her voice. Shikamaru glanced at Ino before sighing. "I know what this is about. Considering the fact that you look so worried, I take it you heard about Naruto," he said with a groan. It wasn't that Naruto wasn't his friend, it was just that the blonde would get in way too much trouble. Don't worry about it. I heard that Naruto is traveling with a legendary ninja, so he should be okay. Ino shook her head with a frown. Jiraiya won't always be in the village. Who's to say that Itachi won't look for him again? She asked a little angry. Not even 3 Jonin could defeat him. Choji chewed his food and glanced at Ino. "What do you think we should do?" "We can't do much," he said while chewing on his food. "He's right," Shikamaru said with a frown. "It's not like we can do anything against ninja that powerful." "Why not get stronger?" Ino asked with a determined expression. Naruto had taught her that determination was an important factor to being a ninja, and she had taken those words to heart. Seeing how much Naruto had improved in only a month, we could train harder to be able to help Naruto in the future. "I'm not saying that we'll be strong enough in a few months, but maybe we could be able to help him if we train hard enough." Shikamaru sighed. "That's too much work, Ino," he said. "What if Itachi and whoever came with him are dealt with before we could help? I don't want to do any extra training." Ino glared at Shikamaru. He wasn't willing to help Naruto because it was too much work when Naruto did nothing but help. Naruto trained like a maniac to protect his friends, and Shikamaru just ignored it like it was no big deal. "What's wrong with you?" Ino snapped with angry tears on her eyes. Shikamaru and Choji looked taken back by the outburst. "Naruto's always helped you even when he was the one that needed the most help. He suffered for years and would risk anything to help us. How can you turn your back on him?" A few tears rolled down Ino's cheeks, causing Choji to stop eating. "Ino's right, Shikamaru," he said with a serious expression. "You remember how he was when we were kids, right? He would be happy around us, but as soon as time to go home came, Naruto would only stare at us in sadness. Even though he looked sad, he would always help us with anything we needed. What's a few rounds of extra training going to do to us? I'm willing to train twice as hard." Shikamaru sighed, watching his teammates. He never said that he wouldn't help Naruto, he just didn't want to train even harder. "You're starting to sound like Lee, Choji." "Fine," he said with a small smirk. Ino and Choji smiled at their teammate. "I guess if you two will get more training done, I'll probably get dragged into it. I would rather agree now than be annoyed later." "Thank you guys," Ino said with a smile. Shikamaru nodded with an annoyed look on his face. Training would only get more troublesome from now on. One thing was for certain, a certain blonde would owe him big for this. "Let's get going." Naruto cheered with a smile. He was back to 100% after a good night's sleep. "Let's go before the old lady disappears." Jiraiya got a panicked look on his face. "Don't be an idiot," he scolded. Naruto gave him an odd look, causing the Toad Sage to sigh. "Take my warning. Do not call Tsunade old." "Why not? Wasn't she as old as you?" Naruto asked in confusion. Jiraiya shuddered, remembering the last guy who called Tsunade old. "Just don't call her that, trust me." He dug into his coat and took out a balloon before handing it to Naruto. "Here, work on the last step. And don't use clones." "Got it," Naruto said with a smile. He filled the balloon with air and got to work. He would have the Rasengan down in no time. Naruto walked through the busy streets with a smile on his face. He had been persuaded to buy a lottery ticket by an old sweet lady, and he had won. Now Gamma was full and happy. All he had to do now was hide this fact from Jiraiya, since the perv had a knack for stealing his money. He didn't understand why he just took the money from him. If he was as big of a success as he claimed, then why did he need to steal from a 13-year-old? Thankfully, ever since they had arrived to the village where Tsunade was said to be, Jiraiya had left him alone to focus on his search for Tsunade. Naruto didn't mind Jiraiya's absence, but he had a feeling that Jiraiya wasn't just looking for Tsunade. Knowing his sensei, he was probably out on bars stalking women. It had been 5 days since the Akatsuki attacked Naruto. Naruto and Jiraiya had arrived on the village only 2 days prior, meaning that Jiraiya had been looking for Tsunade for the past 3 days. The first thing Naruto noticed about the village was that it was old. It was filled with old buildings, but they were still in good state, unlike his apartment complex. The second thing he noticed was that the village was way too crowded. There were houses almost everywhere, and the streets were filled with shops and stands, making it look like there was a kind of festival going on. Regardless, Naruto thought that it was a nice village. What now? Naruto asked himself with a sigh. He took out a balloon and filled it with air before putting it on his right hand. He held it as he walked with a slight look of concentration. Inside of the balloon was a perfect ball of chakra, meaning that the third step had been mastered. It had only taken Naruto 2 days since the Akatsuki's attack to learn the last step. Jiraiya was impressed and told Naruto to practice more with the Rasengan so that it would come naturally to him. The sage still had spars with Naruto, but had now allowed the use of ninjutsu. Jiraiya had also told Naruto to use his jutsu in creative ways, meaning that he had to find more uses for it rather than just attacking. The Chunin thought that he was improving and couldn't wait to get home and show Ino all of his progress. Naruto smiled at the thought of Ino. She had accepted him for who he was and didn't fear him because of the fox. He hadn't known until then just how much Ino meant to him. The thought of losing her terrified him for reasons he didn't know. The blonde wondered what Ino was doing at the moment. She could be in the middle of a mission at the moment, or maybe helping her parents with the shop. It's so boring without Ino here, Naruto thought as he continued to walk through the busy streets. Back in Konoha, a blonde was having similar thoughts. Ino was sitting behind the counter of her parents' flower shop. She didn't understand why they didn't hire workers since they were out almost every day, but she was still glad to help them out. There weren't many people going into the shop, which led to Ino getting bored, which led to her mind to wonder, which led to her thinking about Naruto. It had been a week since he was gone, and she was getting a little worried. She knew it was stupid to worry for her friend. He was with a legendary ninja after all, but she couldn't help but feel worried. Naruto had become a very dear friend, and she would be crushed if she found out something happened to him. He was being targeted by Itachi of all people, a traitor who was even stronger than a Jonin. Bad thoughts, bad thoughts. Naruto's okay and he'll come back in no time, Ino reassured herself. He has to see how much I've improved. True to her word, Ino along Choji and Shikamaru had kicked up their training. They now met for training whenever they had time off and trained for a few hours. Shikamaru would be the first one to leave after 2 hours, saying that it was too troublesome. Choji would leave next since he was needed at home. He never said why exactly, but he still left. Ino would train after the others left and was starting to show improvement. Ino's water control had improved, and she had been given 2 scrolls by Asuma. They contained water jutsu that she was still learning to master. Kurenai would visit the team often and had taught Ino how to use more genjutsu and how to get out of them more easily. The Jonin saw much talent on Ino's genjutsu and planned on teaching her more as time went by. All was going great for Ino, but she still missed Naruto. Things had been quiet since he left, and she found herself missing the days when the two of them would just walk around the village. She really hoped that he would be back soon so they could go out again. She didn't think that it was odd to think of a friend like this, since that's probably how everyone acted when they missed a friend. Orochimaru sat on his throne. He had a smirk on his face. Everything was going great. He had been able to find Tsunade without a problem and had outsmarted her by angering her. It had been slightly difficult to convince her to heal Kimimaro, however, but she would be doing so in the end. For now he would wait. He had given Tsunade a week to meet him, and he had no doubt that she would do so. "Kabuto," Orochimaru called. Kabuto appeared in a puff of smoke in a kneeling position. "What is it, Lord Orochimaru?" Orochimaru smirked. "Tell me how she's doing," he began. "Is she being defiant?" "Not at all," Kabuto answered as a smirk made its way to his face. "Due to my medication, she has been rather quiet." Orochimaru chuckled with an amused smile. My. To think all of this could have been avoided if Tsunade had just agreed to come with me. Kimimaro would soon be healed, giving his forces a boost. If he played his cards right then, he would have Sasuke by the end of the month. The Sharingan would at last be his, and the destruction of Konoha would be a sure thing. Yes, everything was going great indeed. Jiraiya frowned as he walked back to the hotel. It was now dark outside, and there was still no sign of Tsunade. He knew that she was around since his contacts had told him that she had only arrived about a week ago. He had been careful on being spotted by taking some precautions, like walking to the village instead of using chakra to increase his pace. All of this was necessary since Tsunade was good at spotting other shinobi. The Toad Sage was sure that something had happened, and he would find out what. "There you are," came Naruto's voice. Jiraiya looked to his right side to see the blonde running towards him. "What do you want?" "Did something happen?" Jiraiya asked with a raised brow. "No, nothing happened. Except you left me alone all day." Naruto exclaimed with a frown. "Do you have any idea how boring it was? We even missed our sparring session." Jiraiya chuckled. The kid was really something. He would act like his father 1 second and then act like his mother the next. "Fine kid, I'll take you along next time," he said with a sigh. "Let's go eat something." Naruto smiled almost instantly. "You should have said so in the beginning, Jiraiya-sensei," he said with a smile. "Are we going to a ramen stand?" "Are you kidding me? I've taken you there ever since we came to this village," Jiraiya said with a frown. "We're going to get something else today." "Fine," Naruto said with a pout. The two began to walk around the village looking for a place to eat. Naruto's eyes glimmered with hope when he saw the approaching ramen stand, but that hope was lost when they walked right past it. The village was filled with all kinds of restaurants and the streets were still crowded. Naruto couldn't believe just how many people lived in the village, but dismissed it when Jiraiya stopped walking. They were in front of a bar and Naruto gave Jiraiya an odd look. "Why'd you stop, Jiraiya-sensei?" he asked. "Is this the place where we're eating?" Jiraiya smiled with his gaze on the restaurant. "Yeah, a blonde could be seen on one of the bar's booths. This is the place." The two entered the bar and Naruto was greeted by the smell of alcohol and smoke. The blonde instantly gagged and glared at his master. Why had he brought him here? This place smelled so bad that not even ramen would be enjoyable if eaten here. The blonde's eyes narrowed when he noticed that they were walking towards a blonde sitting on a booth. Jiraiya had taken him here to meet girls? Naruto was about to complain but was interrupted by Jiraiya. "It's been a while, Tsunade," Jiraiya said with a smile. Naruto's eyes widened and he looked at the kunoichi in wonder. She had been Jiraiya's teammate, meaning that she was strong. Tsunade turned an eye to Jiraiya and frowned. "What are you doing here?" she asked with anger on her voice. "Just my luck. My past decides to come back to me on the same day." "You're saying that Orochimaru was here?" Jiraiya asked with narrowed eyes as he and Naruto sat opposite of Tsunade. "That's what I'm saying," she growled, "that no-good traitor. When I get my hands on him, I'll make sure to give him a painful death." "What happened?" Jiraiya asked with a frown. "Why should I tell you?" Tsunade asked with narrowed eyes. "If I do, then you'll just butt in like a fool. I can handle my own business, and I don't need the help of someone like you." Naruto had had enough. Jiraiya was more than a mentor to Naruto. He was like a grandfather to him, and he wouldn't allow some old lady to talk to him like that. "Listen here, lady," the blonde said with a frown. "I don't care if you were Jiraiya-sensei's teammate. If you ever badmouth him in front of me again, I'll kick your ass, even if you're old." An ominous air surrounded Tsunade and the whole bar went quiet. Jiraiya had a shocked look on his face and hoped that Naruto would come out alive. He had warned him not to mention her age at all, and he just went and said it. The Toad Sage was glad to have Naruto defend his name, but calling Tsunade old was just stupid. "What did you say?" Tsunade growled out. "I called you an old lady, an old hag, a grandma," Naruto exclaimed with an angry look on his face. "Do you want to step outside?" Tsunade asked with a tick mark on her forehead. Naruto smirked. "Do you want me to walk you there?" he asked, "or can you still do it on your own?" "That's it," Tsunade exclaimed as she put a hand to Naruto's forehead and flicked her finger. Naruto went crashing out of the bar with a fuming Tsunade on his heel. Naruto crashed against the ground with his whole head in pain. He had no idea what had happened, but knew that Tsunade was indeed strong. He heard footsteps and turned around to see Tsunade walking towards him. Tsunade scoffed and crossed her arms. To be called out by a brat. "I really must be losing my head," she said with a sigh before turning to walk towards the bar. Not one to be ignored, Naruto stood up and smirked at Tsunade. "I guess that happens to women your age, they start to lose sense of things." Tsunade stopped on her tracks and turned to glare at Naruto. "We're not done yet, you just had a cheap shot." Tsunade growled under her breath. She really didn't want to beat a kid senseless, but if he didn't stop she would be forced to. "Just quit already, kid," she said with a frown. "I'm too strong for you. You'll just end up getting hurt." "I'll never give up," Naruto exclaimed with a determined look on his face. "That's my ninja way." Tsunade's eyes widened. Memories of her dead brother hit her like a slap to the face. Seeing Naruto's determined expression, she couldn't help but remember Nawaki. The two were so alike, now that she thought about it. "That's enough, Naruto," Jiraiya called out. The sage stepped out of the bar and had a serious look on his face. "We didn't come here to cause problems." But Naruto began, but stopped when he saw the look Jiraiya gave him. "Fine, but don't expect me to apologize." Jiraiya grinned and shook his head. "All right, kid, let's just go back inside." He turned to Tsunade and frowned. "You come too. I want to know what Orochimaru wanted. By the way you're acting, I assumed that it wasn't pleasant seeing him again." "Fine," Tsunade said with a sigh as she made her way inside with Naruto and Jiraiya following behind her. People gave the trio odd looks as they quietly sat down on the same booth. The owner of the store thought of kicking them out for their disturbance, but knew better after watching Tsunade's display of strength. It was no wonder that Konoha ninja were considered the best. "Now, tell us what happened," Jiraiya said with a tone of finality. Tsunade nodded with a frown. "I arrived on this village about a week ago. I came with my assistant Shizune. It wasn't until today that we ran into Orochimaru, and that bastard managed to fool me." Flashback: Tsunade and Shizune hurried out of the village. Shizune didn't know why, but if Tsunade seemed agitated, then things didn't look good. The legendary medic didn't want to stay another second on the village. She had won 5 games in a row on the local casino, and she knew that it was a bad sign. Nothing good ever came when she won, so it would be best to leave while she still could. The two medics turned a corner and stopped dead on their tracks. In front of them stood none other than Orochimaru. The snake summoner had a smirk on his face and crossed his arms. "Orochimaru," Tsunade said the name with a growl. "Hello, Tsunade," Orochimaru said with a chuckle. "You don't look too happy to see your old teammate. What are you doing here?" the medic asked with a snarl. Orochimaru smirked. "I just came here to ask for a favor," he began. "One of my ninja is suffering from a strange illness, and I was wondering if you would like to heal him." Tsunade glared at the snake summoner. "Do you take me for a fool?" she snapped. "I would never help you after what you did to Konoha." "So you heard of my little attack," Orochimaru said in amusement. "Don't let it bother you. Tsunade is not like you were there. In fact, you haven't been there since that fool died, haven't you?" Tsunade's eyes narrowed and her fists began to shake. "You damn traitor," she muttered before snapping her gaze to Orochimaru. "I'll kill you and save Sensei the trouble." Orochimaru chuckled. "Are you that naive, Tsunade?" Did you really think I would come here without a way to make you obey me? The snake summoner ran through hand signs and slammed his hands on the ground. Tsunade's eyes widened as countless of snakes came out of the ground and sprung at them. Tsunade knocked the approaching snakes aside before blocking the ones that came after them. She knocked one more snake aside and threw a glance at her assistant. Shizune was using medical jutsu to knock the snakes away before they got too close. The two continued to defend themselves against the snakes and failed to notice another ninja making his way behind them. Tsunade had enough of the damned snakes and threw a punch on the ground. The ground gave out in front of her and created a small earthquake that destroyed the rest of the approaching snakes. The legendary medic glared at Orochimaru but frowned when she saw him smirk. "You lose, Tsunade," Orochimaru said in amusement. Tsunade threw another gaze at Shizune but gasped when she saw that her assistant wasn't there anymore. "Where is she?" Tsunade asked in anger. Orochimaru chuckled with a sick smile. "While you were busy, I had my assistant take her away," he explained. "Now, what will you do, Tsunade?" "What do you want?" Tsunade asked in defeat. "You're going to heal my ninja," Orochimaru said before throwing a scroll to Tsunade that contains the location of one of my bases. "Now to show you I'm a good person, I'll give you a choice. You can either come to my base or just forget I was ever here. If choose not to show, then your friend will suffer the consequences." With that, the snake summoner melted into the ground, leaving an angry Tsunade behind. Flashback, that was all, Tsunade said in anger. "If I don't show up, that bastard will kill Shizune." Jiraiya nodded. Orochimaru was never one to play by the rules, and taking hostages was expected of him. He didn't know why Orochimaru wanted one of his ninja healed, since he is not one to care for anyone. If he cared for the well-being of someone, then that meant that he planned on using that body later on. Naruto gritted his teeth. That bastard Orochimaru was a sick man. He wouldn't get away with kidnapping an innocent person. "Let's help her, Jiraiya-sensei," the blonde said with a serious expression. "Let's put a stop to Orochimaru once and for all." "Hold on, kid. Don't talk like you stand a chance against Orochimaru. He would beat you before you even get a hit on him," Jiraiya said with a frown. "We will help get Shizune back, but you are not to face Orochimaru. You will leave him to me." "Sounds like a plan." Naruto cheered. "As long as we help, I don't care if I fight or not." Tsunade frowned. Those two idiots were one and the same. "You two can't come," she said. "If Orochimaru sees you, then he'll kill Shizune before we even get there." Jiraiya grinned. "You know you're talking to the leader of a spy network, right?" he asked in amusement. "I'm more than capable of getting into Orochimaru's base undetected." "What about the kid?" Tsunade asked with an irritated frown. "Don't worry about him," Jiraiya said with a smile. "Naruto's my new apprentice. I'll teach him how to slip past Orochimaru. He'll be with me the whole time, so I'll make sure he's undetected." "You don't get it, do you?" Tsunade snapped. "I won't put Shizune in danger. Even if the odds are with me, I'll never risk Shizune's life." With that, the legendary medic left the bar with a scowl on her face. "What are we supposed to do, sensei?" Naruto asked with a worried look. Jiraiya smiled. "Naruto, you really are a hopeless case." He looked at the ceiling and let out a chuckle. "What was the thing I taught you about the ladies?" Naruto frowned. "Well, I'm not sure that at APPL- what did I teach you?" Jiraiya interrupted. Naruto sighed at his sensei's antics. "When a woman says no, it means yes," the blonde sighed. Jiraiya nodded at his student with a proud look on his face, making the blonde scowl. "But that doesn't apply to this situation." "Of course it does," Jiraiya argued. "Besides, isn't it our mission to bring Tsunade back to the village? How will we bring her back if we don't get Shizune back?" "Fine," Naruto said with a sigh. "I still wanted to help this Shizune person anyway." "That's the spirit," Jiraiya said with a smile. "Now let's order some food." Naruto got a look of disgust on his face as he looked around the bar. "Here," he asked in alarm, "this place smells gross. Let's go somewhere else." "Not a chance," Jiraiya deadpanned. Naruto's face faltered. "Why not?" The blonde argued. There were a bunch of restaurants outside. I have my reasons, Jiraiya said. The sage got a perverted grin on his face when he saw a couple of ladies enter the bar. Trust me on this, kid. The blonde sighed. When Jiraiya got like this, there was no stopping him. The sage really acted like a kid sometimes, but at least he had been right about helping Tsunade. He wondered what kind of things Jiraiya would teach him, though. Soon 4 days had come and gone. During this time, Jiraiya worked on teaching Naruto stealth skills while keeping a watchful eye on Tsunade. The sage knew that she would try to pull a fast one on him if he was not careful. He was glad with the progress Naruto was making and had taught him how to use his invisibility jutsu. It was an easy jutsu since he had made it when he was only a genin, and with Naruto's reserves he was able to keep it up for a few hours. Tsunade hurried out of the village. She knew that Jiraiya would be keeping an eye on her, which is why she had left in the middle of the night. The idiot was way too stubborn and would follow her to Orochimaru's base regardless of what she said. She didn't doubt that with Jiraiya's help she would stand a better chance against Orochimaru, but she couldn't risk Shizune's life. She was one of her remaining close people. Damn it, pervy sage! Naruto screamed in anger, nursing his left cheek. Quit hitting me already. I told you to be quiet. Jiraiya exclaimed as he slapped Naruto on the back of the head. Naruto glared at Jiraiya. Why are we out here anyway? The two were currently on the outskirts of the village. They were hiding among the trees of the area. Jiraiya smiled and pointed forward. That's why we're here. Naruto looked forward and saw Tsunade moving away from the village. It was the middle of the night, so it was a little hard to spot her. I knew she would leave without telling us. We're going to follow her until she arrives at Orochimaru's base. And that's when we punch her right. Naruto asked excitingly. Jiraiya facepalmed. Why do you act like an idiot 1 second and a genius the next? Naruto smiled and gave him a shrug. We're just going to go to the base and stop Orochimaru before anything bad happens. I have no doubt that he'll try to do something to Tsunade. Naruto nodded in agreement. That bastard is the lowest of the low, he growled before looking at Jiraiya with a questioning look. Will there be more ninja there? Jiraiya looked taken back. Of course there will be, he said with a sigh. All of those ninja are loyal to Orochimaru only, so there's no reasoning with them. They will attack when we reveal ourselves to Orochimaru. I want you to kill them when they do. Naruto froze. Can kill them? Yes, Jiraiya said with a serious expression. With ninja like the ones we're about to face, we're forced to kill. But, Naruto began with panic on his eyes. Isn't that a little harsh? Jiraiya sighed. He forgot how hard the concept of killing came to the innocent ones. Yes, Naruto, you will kill them. Seeing Naruto's panicked look, Jiraiya continued. You have to do it, Naruto, because if you don't, then they'll kill you without a second thought. The ninja we'll face want nothing more than to comply to Orochimaru's wishes, meaning that they want Konoha destroyed. I guess, Naruto muttered with his gaze to the ground. Naruto, Jiraiya said in a serious voice, we ninja fight for our village at all costs. We protect our village with our lives and are willing to kill for the well-being of the village as a whole. Look at the fourth Hokage. He killed thousands of ninja in order to protect the Leaf Village and put an end to a war that could have killed thousands of people. In order to kill, you have to harden your heart towards enemies and kill not for killing but for the village. I understand, Naruto said with a shaky sigh. Jiraiya nodded. Let's get moving or we'll lose Tsunade. The two began to leap through trees while blocking their chakra signatures. Remember what I taught you and you'll be fine. Got it, Naruto said with a determined expression. This was not the time to take it easy. They were in the middle of an important mission where they couldn't afford to make any mistakes. The concept of killing was still hard for him, but he would do it for the village. Hang on, Shizune, were the thoughts of the three ninja as they made their way to Orochimaru's base.
That's it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on my other social media accounts. Anime God here, and I'm signing off.